Did you hear that slogan I came up with?
I heard it. I heard it. That's hot.
I'm going to bat for Pat Labat.
So now you know we're going to crank that up.
How you doing, brother?
Outstanding. I'm outstanding. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. My wife is not doing her part today, though. I just took my son to practice, and he got another practice, and she's supposed to be here to take him. Now I got to do my show, and then I got to figure out how to get him to practice. But all is well.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. Safe and healthy.
Yeah, you look like one of my cousins or something. I feel like I know you, but I don't know you, but I know you. How old are you, Pat Labat?
I'm 52.
Okay, you're slightly older than me. So do you know Marco Blue Johnson?
I know Marco well.
So he commented for the first time on one of my posts today. He must know this gentleman. I mean, you know, were you in school in Atlanta when I was in school?
So, yeah, I'm born and raised. So I went to Frederick Douglass High School, Clark Atlanta University.
That's went to Fred Douglass?
Yes, sir. That's where I met Marco.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy. Well, that's great to know. So at 52 years old, and I have to start the show off like this, Pat, because I'm going to bat for Pat Labat. I want to set the tone because you telling me your age means that you was alive and popping when this song came out. So I need to see your sense of humor, and I need to, you know what I'm saying, go from that on into the interview. But I have to play a song because it is in my spirit, and I feel like that you're not like these people. I really feel like you're not like these people, and you're going to make change in our community. But I know you was with this song when it came out.
Right about now, NWA court is in full effect. Judge Gray resigning. In the case of NWA versus the police department, prosecuting attorneys are MC Red, Ice Cube, and Easy motherfucking E. Order, order, order. Ice Cube, take the motherfucking stand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help your black ass?
Yes, God.
Right. Won't you tell everybody what the fuck you gotta say? Coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it back.
I'm sorry. Yo, Pat, I'm going to bat for Pat Labat, but I had to start the show off with that.
I knew it was coming.
Pat, I feel your energy, Pat. I saw you on the 85 South show. The Honorable Falana Williams called me. She said, Kenny, you got to get Pat on the show. I said, I want to get Pat on the show. I need to get Pat because I have some questions for Pat. Now, Pat, we grew up not too far. I mean, I think I was coming into high school when you were leaving. But I know we had the same plight as young black men.
Absolutely.
Growing up in the inner cities. And I just want to take people on a journey because one, I want to frame you properly so they get to know you. You clearly are down with the shits. I saw you on the 85 South. That's why I played that song. That's why I felt comfortable enough that I wouldn't have nobody show up at my door. But please tell us about your upbringing. You went to Frederick Douglass High School right here in Atlanta. Please tell us a little bit about that upbringing.
So, as I said, I'm from here. Grew up on Westlake and Simpson Road, which is now Boone Boulevard. You know, being from here, you know, there's a certain passion that comes along with being from here. But for me, raised by a single black female who didn't take any mess.
Come on.
Right? I only met my dad twice, right?
Wow.
And I carried that burden around for a long time until I had to learn that it was his loss, not mine. And at that point, I started at Clark. Now, unlike most people, I worked 11 at night to 7 in the morning at the city jail.
Wow.
And then school during the daytime.
Wow.
So over a 20-year career, I got promoted up through the ranks. In 2010, I was appointed chief by Mayor Kasim Reed.
Wow, congrats.
My appointment was extended through Mayor Bottoms, beginning of her term. And at 30 years, I was able to retire. A blended family. So my wife and I live in Southwest Atlanta. 2 girls, 2 boys, or 2 young ladies, 2 young men. They are really the gold standard, especially our girls. Our boys are much like me.
Right.
Still, the girls are 26 and 25, and no, both 25, and the one about to be 26. The boys are 22 and 21, so they are 6 months apart each.
Right.
We got a rescue dog named Hugo. So I like to tell everybody that's my wife's dog, but he's probably more my dog than hers.
I like
Uh,
how you set him up as the rescue dog.
yeah, yeah. So no, we literally got him from the Gwinnett Pound, 4 pound Yorkie,
Oh,
named Hugo, and so he is really the boss. So Hugo Boss. Um, but again, we've had, and I say we because under Mayor Reed and Mayor Bottoms, I was allowed to put together a dynamic team at the city. And our goal was to really focus on our community and
right,
how to help our community, starting with customer service. And that is something that if you embody in law enforcement, those things come first.
right.
Certainly challenging times now in law enforcement, and it takes the right leadership. A lot of young people just want to be heard. And, our problem in law enforcement is, and as parents, sometimes we tell our kids to ask why, but then we get mad when they ask why.
Right.
So we have to focus on our future. This is an opportunity for a generational change and to really have these tough conversations
Yeah.
because it's needed. It's
Yeah.
needed.
I think I'm going to bat for Pat Labat, ladies and gentlemen. This is a gentleman, a young man that is running for sheriff here in Fulton County in Atlanta, Georgia, for those who are asking in the comments that are not from Atlanta. But I wanted to have him on today because I think that the heightened sensitivities around the police and our communities, it was very much on our heart and minds. And we've talked about it several times on multiple shows. So I wanted to have Pat Labat on the show. But Pat, you were raised by a single mother, much like myself. And I know firsthand what it was like to have a single parent in the home, having to go out and figure it out a lot on our own. You said you went to the city jail and worked. How old were you when you went to the city jail and worked, and what took you that route early?
So for me, I've been working since I was 13, and this is what I tell people, and I hate when people call these young men the water boys, but that could have been me, right? I was begging people to let me take their groceries to their car right up there at 590 Cascade Road.
Yeah.
Biggest Kroger in the country at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, that path through hard work was just not, it was what I knew, right? I watched my mom work 2 or 3 jobs. It was just ingrained. And so I did not graduate magna cum anything. I graduated, thank you, Lordy. So,
thank you, Lordy.
So there was
Amen.
a combination of me having to supplement my academic scholarship. I walked on the tennis team, and so I did end up with a tennis scholarship, but it was tough at first, and so I needed to supplement my income.
And you went to city jail to do that.
So I did. So it was supposed to be a pit stop, right? The one thing I am is completely transparent. I was supposed to be on my way to law school, and in that, I ended up, again, working 11 at night, 7 in the morning, and then at 21 is when I started out answering the phones, and it's like anybody else that gets trapped, and I say trapped, not that it was a bad thing. It was, look, I was 21, making more money than my peers, really working to get through school. I also got a degree while working, but not that time night. But it was a passion of mine to have for myself, right? Those things.
Was this Pat? Was this a passion to help? Like, because obviously you said it was a pit stop, but as you got in there and you figured out you were going to make a career, I'm just trying to connect the dots, because what I want people to know is you're from the era of Rodney King. You're from the era, like, all these things happening. And as Atlanta has grown to become this metropolis that it is, or becoming, it went through phases. And I remember being here. You go to the corner store damn near and buy a gun. When I first came in '92, Kmart, whatever had gun, you can 18. All you had to do was be 8 or whatever the criteria was. But it was super easy. But I want to paint the picture culturally because it's important. We are going through a time right now where people don't believe in police. They don't believe, that they are policing each other. They believe that blue is blue, or in this case, brown with y'all. Like, what I'm saying? They just think it's one thing against us. And I want to prove the point that it's not, because I, don't believe in defunding the police. And Van Lathan's, who's on here, he's probably having a fucking conniption fit right now. But I don't believe in defunding the police, because I'm from the inner city. I know what crime looks like at a high level. I know, what it takes to keep order. And I don't want to put onus on police more than I want to put onus on people that we trust in the community to help protect us and keep us whole.
And you're absolutely right. When we were coming up, and I tell this story all the time, I'm flying up Cascade over there near Beecher, and I get stopped by a police officer. And he comes up to the car and he asks me, well, where's the fire? Excuse me, what you mean? He says, fast as you driving, it's got to be a fire somewhere.
Right.
And I said, well, sir, before I could finish, he said, I could arrest you for this, or I could call your mama. And I said, well, take me to jail. Don't call my mom.
Right.
So there's a level of respect there that we tend to lose in the conversation. But more importantly, come to find out, he was part of the community. And so when we can pay our officers enough that they can live actually in our community, live, work, and play, that sets the tone for what law enforcement looks like. And that's what we want to get back to. We want to get back to diversity. We want to get back to how we incorporate this in our community. And one of the things you asked about with respect to me starting in the jail, look, every Friday night, I was a rookie. I'd go in, and it looked like a high school reunion.
Right.
Everybody,
all the people you knew.
If it was 300 people in there, 275 of them looked like me.
Crazy.
And so I'd always said, and I'm one of those persons, if I get to this level, this is what I would do.
Right.
Certainly as I got promoted through the ranks, certainly as I was given the opportunity to be chief, we were able to focus on our community. Specifically, we were able to feed almost for 10 years, 200 to 300 senior citizens every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wow.
Some best meal they got. And we started a junior corrections program, and not for straight A students. It was for at-promise students, as I call them.
Right.
And it wasn't a scared straight program. It's a program about exposure and about direction. So we certainly took our participants through the jail. We took them through the courts. We took them through the homeless shelter. But we also took them to Hartsville Jackson. And we took them to Charlie Brown Airport, put them in a control tower, right? And I often tell folks, as you saw those planes lift off, you could see these young people's hopes and dreams lift off too. But we also took them to the morgue, because it's about choices.
100%. Well, I want to talk about choices, Pat, because I really want to hit home on the issues, because these are issues you need to prove that you understand as well as you run for sheriff of Fulton County. What you said about that officer that caught you speeding,
mm-hmm.
I could either call your mama or I could take you to jail. I want more police like that, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to say the person's name, but a sheriff here in Atlanta saved my life. Literally, at the warehouse in Atlanta, Georgia, Freaknik 1994. I was given a pass of all passes. I was a convicted felon. I had 10 years back time if I got in trouble. And literally, the most offensive offense, outside of murder and all that other, I would have been gone. And he literally, because he knew my heart, he gave me a pass.
Right.
And I'm saying that to say, because too many of our black and brown boys don't get a chance. The fucking sentences, Pat, Labat, are so it's so disgusting and unbalanced that I want leaders, because this is what police should be, leaders in the community that come in and can judge. If you're from the community, you, like that man judged me that night and gave me that pass, you should be able to, you should know your community enough to be able to, because I just don't think we, like you said 275 people at the jail. Felt like a reunion. That's scary. This has to stop. It has to stop.
Well, the one thing I say often is we cannot arrest our way out of this. We have to find other alternatives. I'm not sure. I'll go out on a limb and say
wait. You can't. He said, listen to what he just said. He's saying you can't arrest your way out of this. Is that not what you said?
Correct.
I love that.
Correct. and thoughtful in what that looks like, right? And what I have said, and this is where we have to go to, we need to retool our training. And what that means is we have to rebuild this airplane while we're flying it. And because I'm with you, I don't agree with defunding the police. We have to be supportive of what that looks like. And for me, that means we have to make sure the community understands that our hearts are bigger than our badges. And we have to remove the
saying all the right stuff, Pat Labat. I'm going to bat for Pat Labat.
Well, and I'm gonna steal that too, Kenny. You'll see it pop up all over the place in a little bit.
It's free for my brother.
Yes, sir. So we just have a unique opportunity right now in this moment in time that we can do all of that. And so, to your point, we have to train that way. And this is what I've told our community. When you hear doctors, when they take the Hippocratic oath, right? First thing they say is first do no harm. If we can bring that thought process into our early training, we can try and help people get home at night.
Yeah, I want to throw this in there. Stacy Bay 415 just said something very poignant. We need to figure out how to reallocate these dollars for this fucking mental health check with some of these policemen. I was at my son's game, at Wheeler High School.
Okay.
And this white police officer. Now, mind you, I'm Uncle Kenny. I come through. Everybody know what's up. I'm shoes for the team. I'm doing my thing. I don't have no problem. This one guy every game, he got an issue with the person with the light. I don't care who got the light. He got an issue with the person with the light, and I swear for God, he be ready to shoot me. Like I turn up all the way. I'd be going crazy in the games. But at the same time, he'd be ready to shoot. And it's like, I feel your energy. I told him one night, I said, why are you so aggressive? Because you're not saying nothing. If you would have came to me and communicated, said, Mr. Burns, you know what? We got to just take it a notch down because the kids are in here. But no, you come over here. You want to tase me. That's how turned up I be too, by the way.
No, I get it.
But I'm just saying, like, they need mental checks. He's retarded. Like, he's retarded. And he's older gentleman. And he's retarded because, that's why I love what you said, 415, because the reallocation of funds, y'all get a lot of funding, Pat. The police department gets overfunded. And I don't know, I'm confused. I get confused with that.
So let me push back on the overfunding piece. Just depends on where you are, all right? But also keep in mind when you take something from one place, something else suffers. And usually what happens is our training suffers. So we got to be thoughtful about that piece. And
but where's the mental health training?
Well, and the
people crazy.
Well, here's the opportunity, and this is what we have to really focus on. Remember 30 years ago when I started, I had one psych evaluation. And so I am a proponent of having a psych evaluation for each one of our team members at least once a year. That's a lot to unpack, right? You ask our young professionals to go to the worst and the most heinous parts of the city. You watch them arrive at murder scenes, rape scenes, all of this, and then that's a lot to unpack. We have to be very thoughtful of making sure that our police officers have psych evaluations and then do peer-to-peer counseling as well as employee assistance counseling to make sure that they don't take that out there with you. But here's a funnier piece for me, hearing your story around the same age, right?
I was about to say, you know the story? Was it locker room talk? Shit.
No. But hearing you tell me how turned up you were, right? As a young rookie, I'm out watching my brother-in-law at the time play football in Clayton County, and I'm turned up. I mean, I'm crunk. Matter of fact, I was so crunk, I was on the coach because the coach is his daddy. Well, he was coaching his son, who happened to be DJ Shockley.
Wow.
And so, my family member didn't get a chance to play. I mean, I was crunk. I got calls from the Clayton County Police Department, from the state representative over in that area. Right. I feel your passion, but we have to put people in those places that are diverse and that actually live and work in those communities. So if he knew who you were, right? It's a different conversation. And then we can first have a conversation.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, Pat. And someone said the funding is basically reallocating. People that are saying defund the police are talking about get rid of the police. They would rather activists in the neighborhood police their own, and we police. That ain't happening. Whatever, ain't nobody gonna make sense of that. And Angela Rye's my friend. See the God's my friend. Van Lathan is my friend. I just don't agree with that. And they all, Killer Mike is my friend. They all say, but there's no way that right now maybe in the future when, you know, black folk had their own banks and had their own neighborhoods again and really own square blocks and cities and real properties, so forth and so on, can we do that? But right now we need some order. I'm not saying law and order like President Dump, but I'm saying order. But I wanted to say this. You know, the community thing is a big piece for me because I am in my mid-40s and I am still terrified when the lights come on. And I've made a 360-degree change in my life. I am a pillar in my community. I mentor thousands, hundreds of thousands with social media. And I just can't, for the life of me, get that siren out of the back of my head when I see it. Like, it's like immediately goes to the childhood, you know, and I don't want it to be like that for my children. I don't want my children to be scared of that. That's not something they should be scared of. That's something that they should look to for help, in need of help. They are there to protect and serve. How do we get there?
Well, and let me tell you, it is not an uncommon feeling. I got pulled over in my city truck. Blue lights come on, and I can tell you that feeling. Your stomach starts churning, right? It's like, oh my goodness, who's having a bad day? And when the officer came up to the window, he was just as unprofessional, right? Until he saw all of my city equipment, radio, and all that, and that changed. We have to retool that conversation. We have to be very thoughtful about how we approach people. And if we approach our community as though they're innocent as opposed to guilty, right? Now I get it. They're equally as nervous, right? Think about it, right? I don't know. My son and both my sons are 20 and 21 and about to be 22.
Right.
But they can also go and apply to be a police officer, carry a weapon, and do the one thing that no one else in the country can, and they're authorized to take a life should it present themselves. But I also know that as young men, right, they're not even fully developed, right, in terms of their thought processes. So we have to be, and we put them in the most dangerous situations. We put them in the most dangerous parts of the city, dangerous parts of the night, and expect them to react like seasoned veterans. So we have to do a better job. And again, it is so important that we give them an opportunity holistically to unpack some of the things that they see. It can be done. It starts with strong leadership.
Right.
And that's where we have to get to.
Yeah, I think too, man. I was thinking about Rashard Brooks, man, like how they talked to that man for 25, 30 minutes and then had his car. They could have found him later if he run off, you know what I mean? Like to go through that whole exercise. And I think a lot of people in the comments are saying peace officers. I get why, and not in this case. In this case, that I agree, peace officers should have been in full effect. This guy, you had talked to him, you knew he was inebriated. You really ain't, you know, you caught him sleeping in the car. He wasn't driving. I mean, he was in the thing. It was in park. Whole point of the moral of the story is you could have got him the next day. You had his car. You had, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they had his license. So I agree with the peace officer, you know, concept in that. But then I also know what you're saying about going to certain parts of the city, you know, and I try as a functioning, successful adult, I try to calm myself down in situations where I'm like, why are you so turned up? If you were calm, you could handle the situation better. So I can only imagine how the police feel going into a place they know there's shootings every night. I was literally, Pat Labat, I don't have no license plate number. I don't remember nothing. I just remember that this happened. I literally Sunday, I was going to a photo shoot. And I mentioned this a couple of days on episode a couple of days ago. These youngins were in front of me, right by George Dome, pop, pop, pop in the air. So I'm thinking, oh shit, they shooting at somebody. So I'm like, I'm a half a block back. And I'm like, oh, let me just chill out. So I go up, and then another car, so I'm thinking, are they chasing each other? Oh shit, it's going down. They pull up side, they talking, then both of them, bye, bye, bye. So when they get out of my sight, I'm thinking they gone. I make the left where they make the left, pat Labat. When I tell you they did that shit 4 more times, and I'm like, where the fuck is the police? I was like, in the time, but then I'm thinking this is what's going to trip you out. I go to my destination to do the photo shoot. A white guy was in a white car in front of me. He happened to be going to the same destination I went. This man got out the car, was like, yo, did you see that? They were shooting at me. They were trying to kill me. I'm like, no, they weren't. Now, here I go, defending what they did because they were just letting off. Whatever. I'm not supporting that. I'm not trying to defend that. But if it was up to the white man, if the police was standing there right then and there, they was trying to kill me. I got scratch. Look at the scratch on my car. I said, if a bullet hit your car, sir, it'd be a hole. It wouldn't be a scratch. I'm trying to walk him off. He on the phone with the police. Yes, is 4 black guys talking about the. So I don't know. I know why, and I'm rambling, I guess, because I'm passionate about this conversation. But I know why the aggression is there. But to the point of TKBS Nation in the comments, I know why we need peace officers too, because a lot of things that happen don't need to happen.
And so let me say this, and I certainly understand the fear on both parts, right? But here's my concern, and this is what I immediately go to. If they're sitting out there shooting, the bullets got to come down somewhere. And how many times has a bullet come down, struck someone, or someone, one of our youth, right? Even while sleeping in a bed, right? We have to be very thoughtful about that and really look at how we can encourage our youth not to do that. And to that point, right? One of the things you mentioned earlier was the 85 South show, which I absolutely enjoyed being there.
I laughed a lot. I saw it.
But here's the thing. When I walked in, that was my second time being on there.
Yeah,
when I walked in, the set is set up like a trap house.
Yeah.
But no one told me what to expect.
Right.
Watch those young men, as professional as they are, from stem to stern, run that program. It was one of a defining moment for me to be able to say, look, when I become sheriff, I want you all to come to some of this training, right, including weapons training, so that you can see, feel, and understand the impact, so that you may be able to influence these young men and women that are out here shooting up in the air with a clear understanding that somebody can be hurt.
Yeah.
And so we really have to focus on that. That doesn't mean they have to be arrested, right?
Yeah.
But we need to expose them to the other side of the conversation.
No, anybody shooting in the air should be arrested. I want to say this too, and I want to be clear. Police is necessary. The police are necessary. The actions of some police are unnecessary. And that's my next question for you, because I feel like the police don't police the police. I feel like there's clear racism in the police departments. And I guess you can kind of segment that by county or city or whatever, inner city, suburbs, whatever. But what are y'all doing about that? Like that, to me, that, and you've been seeing it all through this pandemic, especially during the rioting and the protests. I mean, they throwing up the 3 and it's motherfuckers here in Atlanta. It was a whole, I'm like, what the fuck is going, like, right. So I think it's important for people to know what you're going to do and what we could do outside of Atlanta to police the police, because they have to be held responsible. Like we are held responsible if we did the same crime.
You're absolutely correct. And let me start by saying no one hates a bad cop more than a good cop. Let me be clear. But here's also part of the foundation that we have to understand, and this is why I enjoy the conversation. Under President Obama, in his last year, Department of Justice investigated and had, they created an environment where the use of force incidents, they conducted 15 use of force incidents. Under 45, right, there's been 1 investigation. So there is nobody to police the police. And so
y'all got to do it, Pat.
No, I agree.
Y'all, like, individually, it don't take no task force. It takes you when you become sheriff of Fulton County, to get a group of people together, because it ain't telling, it's saving lives.
I
Do you
agree.
hear me? It's saving lives. Like, my thing is like Breonna Taylor. Speaking of use of force, I don't give a fuck if the boyfriend shot at the door. You don't go in nowhere. I don't know. You don't come with the proper representation of who you are and what you're there to do. You go through this whole thing and nobody arrested. Nobody. Somebody got fired. Nobody arrested. And I'm just confused.
No, I get it. But to your point, right? We have to have levels of what those investigations look like. And so and I tell people all the time, even when I was chief, right? I don't fire people, people fire themselves, right? And your actions put you in that position. It doesn't matter what color you are, it simply is your actions that put you in this position. And we have to hold people accountable. I do believe in due process, right? Let me be clear. And that should be afforded to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a police officer or a citizen, going to work every day, anywhere. Everybody should be afforded due process.
Yeah.
Environment, we just have to be more transparent about it. And part of that, for me, becomes creating an environment where our community is part of the conversation on a daily basis. And one of the reasons we were so successful at the city was because our focus was every day you come to work. Doesn't matter if your job was to fingerprint somebody or really oversee or watch. It doesn't matter who, the inmate work detail. We ran what's called direct supervision, which is a more humane way to treat people, right? It didn't matter what your job was. Your main job every day was to bring value to the city as a whole. And if you hadn't done that in your 8 or 12 or 16 hours, then you're working for the wrong agency.
Yeah, you know what I want to say, Pat, while I was on my frontal lobe? Y'all in the telling business.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't consider it snitching like the streets do. Y'all have to tell on the motherfuckers, Pat.
I agree.
Pat, they have to be exposed, Pat. It's disgusting that in 2020, that in the year 2020, with as many black leaders in the police department and on the police force that come from the struggle of our ancestors, that come from the struggle of our people in a power position, because I don't care what you say, you got that gun on you and you got that license to do what you got to do, you could effect some change.
Sure.
And I just feel like ain't nobody going hard. I seen police together. You want to say something to that motherfucker. You ain't got to worry about me being here. I'm not going to judge you. You doing the right thing. He is doing the wrong thing. And my thing is like, we don't, and I encourage you, brother, because, and you could tell my energy is for you because I'm going to bat for Labat. But I'm literally looking for real leadership in that particular thing, in that particular construct. You got to tell on them. They got to go. Like, they can't be on the force, because letting them go once is a dead body. Letting them go once is a missed opportunity for someone to be free. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, it's just, I'm very passionate about that.
We're on the same side. And I came up in my career with a clear understanding. I ain't snitching, I'm telling, right? When we have an obligation to treat people like they're human, and that's period. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you fall on, your obligation is to enforce the law if a law has been broken, right? And your discernment of the situation can truly change a life, right? We have to figure that part out as we build this airplane, but you're absolutely right. When I said earlier, no one hates a bad cop more than a good cop, we have to create an environment too that it's safe to do that. Because see, there are a lot of inherent barriers with police departments that they become so corrupt that we have to, that's why I said it starts with leadership. And so to be able to serve the people, that's the focus, right? We say protect and serve all the time. We have to really, and here's the key, and this is what I look at. Because there's so much mistrust right now in law enforcement, between law enforcement and the community, It is our job, right? The Bible says whoever is the one that created the problem should be the one to extend the olive branch.
Come on.
But I'm the one to say, and I don't get into quoting the Bible, let me be clear, but I am the one to say, we, by perception or otherwise, have created this problem. We have to be the first to extend the olive branch. Now, if we extend the olive branch and Kenny, you don't accept it, that's a different conversation. But if you accept it and we come in together to figure out how to move better together, and that includes, like I said, on the 85 South show, on Ronnie Jordan's show, and any other show I go on, and I'll extend the same invite to you. And that is, once I become sheriff, we will have a community transition part of the team as well, so that what your perceptions are and what you feel every day are real. And we have to take that into account. And so this is just that time. This is a generational opportunity for us to really change law enforcement. And we can make it happen, but I'm going to need your help to make it happen too.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing right now. I'm going to bat Labat. Again, man, I just, I look at the issues that are topical right now, but we have children, we have young boys, man, we have young men that are, active, and if they're anything like their fathers and mothers, they want to be in it, they want to have fun, they want to live life for a living, and I don't want, any of my babies. I'm talking about your babies, they're all our babies. I don't want any of them growing up with the fear of police that we grew up with.
I agree.
And quite honestly, we have the power to change that. And I would often tell people, and I love your opinion on this, I often tell people, like, in this time, like we're talking about, you have those who say don't vote, right? And obviously this pertains to you because you're running for sheriff of Fulton County. Don't vote, it don't matter. My voice it don't matter. It's their system, da-da-da-da. Why not beat them at their own system? Why not double down on people like Pat Labat or people you believe in to go inside and change the construct? See, the key is, though, Pat, is to actually change when you go in there. See, my thing is people sometimes have these opportunities and, much like yourself, you've been in the game 30 years. You're going to go sheriff, 10 years, max you out, right? I'm on the right page, right?
You're right.
We want to know in that 10 years, that you are committed. So, because in 10 years, you could do a hell of a lot of change. And I think, that's a problem people are having with voting. And my balance has been to tell people, well, no, you live in America. As long as you live in America, you will have local, state, and federal government governing you in whatever way they see fit, unless you have somebody in pocket that has your back. I'm not saying he did all the time, but he's my favorite speaker, orator of all time. He's a motherfucker. I love Obama. I can't curse when I go on the radio, so forgive my cursings. I'm getting it all out before the 17th. But anyway, that's why I think people are hesitant. But that's why I wanted you on the show, because I wanted them to see you're a real ATLian, like you from here, like you went through the things we all have gone through, and you understand both sides.
I do, and I really appreciate it, because I think everything, as long as we can sit and have a conversation, that's the beginning, right? That's the first part. The second part is to your point, right? We have to get out and vote. And the unique opportunity here is the incumbent who's been there 12 years, right? You can take a look at how crime has risen. Murder has risen 240% just in Atlanta proper alone in the last month and a half to 2 months, right?
I got an idea.
Okay.
Y'all can't tell me y'all can't find out where all the guns is. You can't tell me that. And what I need you to do when you become sheriff of Fulton County, go get the guns, man. Like, this is not rocket science. If they got an iPhone, you can track them. You can go get the guns. You can go get the drug. You can go get whatever you want to get.
You just made my point. You just made my point.
I want action, though, Pat. Like, I want the guns are ridiculous. The amount of guns in these streets that are not legal firearms is ridiculous.
I agree. And here's the sad thing is we know it. We also know that between 40 and 50% of the violent crime in the Atlanta metro area is being committed by less than 500 people. We know who they are.
Well, what the fuck are they still around for?
That's my point. We're going to create a top 10 most wanted list in Atlanta. We're going to run crime out of Fulton County.
Come on.
We're going to create a cyber technology unit, right? A SWAT team of just 4. Now, this is part of recruiting as well. the average age in there, I want to be 24, 25 years old. Get folks in there that have better use of technology, the iPhones, just like you just mentioned, and go after these bad actors.
They listen. They tell on themselves. I
I
never
agree.
seen no shit like it in my life. I
I agree.
never seen no. When I was in the streets, you wasn't talking and promoting and did it. These motherfuckers like, oh, I got the AK, I
Yeah.
got the bazooka. Oh,
And let me tell you what's worse for me, and it hurt me to my heart. We're over here on Cascade yesterday. Got a young brother that 16 years old, helping with the campaign over here on Cascade and 285. Another guy rides by in his car, raises up his shirt, points his gun, fuck the police, right? We've trained our staff to take a picture of the car, right? Most of the time it's stolen. But at the same time, this is what we're exposing our young kids to as well. But we have to go, and I'm not making an example, but if you break the law, we're coming to see about you. We know who these bad actors are.
but and you know what? I'm so happy to hear you say that. Okay, I am not here to judge anybody for the things they choose to do with their life. We all done some dumb shit. But the ignorant motherfuckers that have the disrespect for children and life and just, I'm talking about shit like you just said, like the dude shooting in the air. Go get that motherfucker. Like, he should not be riding around. You know what I'm talking about? The AU Center shooting in, like, it baffles me. It just baffles me because, you know, it's to the point where, why are they still out there?
I agree.
Why, if you know who they are, why are they out there?
Not only
There
do
are
we
people in jail with drug charges that need forgiven time because they had non-violent crimes and they was trying to figure some shit out. But you got literally killers out here, like people with bazooka. I ain't never seen. We ain't had no bazookas growing. I couldn't find a bazooka in the street growing up. You hear me? You
Yeah.
could get a Uzi, but you couldn't get no bazooka. They got artillery you see in the damn movies.
Yep. You're right. You're right. But we know who they are, right? That's the sad part. And here's the problem. We currently have a sheriff's office. The administration views itself as second responders, non-first responders. The sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in the county. As such, we need to act as such. And we don't need anybody's permission. So when I go after these thousands of warrants that have not been served, these protective orders for domestic violence that have not been served, and these folks that are wanted, when I go after them, I don't need anybody's permission. I don't have to call the mayor. I don't have to call the city council. As sheriff, we're going to change what Fulton County looks like.
Hold on, Stacey Bay, you are intriguing the shit out of me today. Stacey Bay 415, she said police are planting the guns in the community. Do you believe that?
Do I believe that?
Yeah.
At my genuine core, I believe police officers get into policing for the right reason. I've never met anybody. I just don't agree with that.
Okay, but how are they getting to the black communities? Let's be informationists, not conspiracy theorists. We have information. You and I are very thoughtful human beings. How are all these guns getting to our little black and brown babies? I want to know your theory, because if we can figure out the theory, we can get into some action and keeping that shit. Because the NRA don't care. The NRA is making them by the, you know what I'm talking about, 100 dozens. We need to figure it out.
I agree. And we need to reinstitute the gun buyback program, right? We need to, there's so many things that we can do. And it could be, look at the arrest made yesterday with respect to all the heroin that has come in, the largest bust in the state's history. But they also, they also have 40, 50 automatic weapons, right? So, and here's the interesting piece. They are still coming into our community, and every gun store I go to, they sold out. But they're still coming into our community.
But who though, Pat Labat? I'm going to bat for Pat Labat. I got to know what Pat Labat thinks about how the guns are getting to the baby. I got to know. I have my I mean, I don't agree with Stacey that the police are doing it. I do know for a fact that has happened. But at the same time, I'm like, how? Because it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's hundreds.
No, I agree. I agree.
And if you said that there are 500 people that you know doing all the shit, there's a special place for them motherfuckers.
I agree. And I agree. And I'm going to show you where that place is. As soon as I get sworn in, we're coming to see about people. It's simple as that. And those are the folks we're going to focus on. And now, holistically, we got to keep an eye on what the trend is, right? You look at traffic stops, for instance, where a lot of guns are found, right? They're down 83% because of everything that's going on in our community. So, there was an intent focus at one point from the Atlanta Police Department focusing on weapons. But what we have to do from the sheriff's perspective is get back on the streets. Look, the warrants unit clocks out at 10 o'clock at night. And we're going to change that, because I don't want you, if you're a criminal in Fulton County, I don't want you to sleep comfortably. I want you to know come 10:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, with a proper warrant. Let me be clear, right? We're going to come see about you, because we don't want to make any mistakes. We don't want another Katherine Johnson, right? Now, I know you know about Neal Street. We just very focused on getting these bad actors off the street.
Yeah, you know what, too, Pat? And I need to see an uprising, right? I need to see exactly what Keisha's doing. Sorry, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is doing to this governor y'all have. I need to see I'm sorry, if you support Trump, you're a racist or a bigot or you're a classist. It's one of the three. And to me, they're all tied. They're all tied. You've drawn your line in the sand. When you become sheriff of Fulton County, because I'm going to bat for Pat Labat, I need you to you have 10 years till you're going to chill out on that boat with them Cuban cigars and whatever.
Yes, sir.
Whatever Uncle Nearest you choose.
There it is. There it is.
I really want you we got to start shaking the tree. Like, there's never been a time in history where you've had the white people tired of those white people. Do you understand what I'm saying? White people that are not racist and bigoted in class, they're not with the shits. So, and I don't know what that is ultimately. And I don't know, that's not my job. My job is to be the conversation starter and to bring balance to our community. But I know your mind. I know Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms' mind. I know John Ossoff's mind. Like, the people that I've spoken to that are running for office, that are in office, they have a clear understanding they're not with the shits. And that's all I ask of you, Pat, because, we leave this world. God rest the dead, John Lewis just passed. I was strangely enough watching the Donald Trump motherfucker's off the chain. He literally didn't go to the funeral or pay his respects to John Lewis because he didn't come to the inaugural or the other thing he did. And but see, these people, to me, Pat, they're dying. And I'm not just saying, literally the ones in the 80s, they're on their way out. Whatever, they're on their way out. But dying mentality-wise. So if the youth under them could just not be taught hatred or bigotry or classism or racism, we win. We win because they already dating black, Chinese. You know what I'm saying? It's already intermingling. That's not going to be in the minute. And I know they want to protect that with everything they have left in their bodies. And I'm going somewhere. I don't know where I'm going with this, but the statement is relevant. So please make some noise, Pat. Just don't be status quo in there. And you know what I'm saying? Shake that shit up. Because the majority of gangsters that I know, Pat, they don't want no smoke. They don't want violence. They don't want nothing. They just want to get their paper and keep it moving. They don't want all that other shit. And you wouldn't have as many problems on the street. Now, I'm not saying that the streets work in tandem with the police, which we know they do sometimes, but I am saying there's a rapport. There's a respect in the community for people that deserve respect on whatever side of the fence. That's just law. I mean, that's just social humanity. That's humanity law. Like, you respect me, I respect you. I'm not doing nothing crazy. I'm not throwing nothing in your face, Mr. Officer. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm going. You know where I'm going, right? I get the rest.
No, I agree. We have to. And let me tell you, I'm not waiting 10 years to shake this. I tell you, inside 6 months, you'll be able to see a difference on the streets of Atlanta and Fulton County proper.
Yeah.
It's going to take the community giving us an opportunity to rebuild trust. Let me be clear. But at the same time, we're not waiting 10 years. I want, and here's what I want, right? One of my visions, one of my goals. I want Kenny Burns to be able to say, you know what? That Pat Labat, that's my sheriff. That's my sheriff. That Fulton County Sheriff's Office, that's my sheriff's office. And so when we get that ingrained in our community, we can automatically start seeing the differences and know that you can depend on that.
Yeah,
Right?
that's key.
That's the kind of piece I want to bring. I want us to be very customer service oriented and treat people like they're human. Right? That's
Listen, Pat. I want to help in any way I can. I want to speak in the jails. I want to speak to the youth. I want to speak to these kids, man, because I was once almost a product of my environment. I was almost once a statistic. I was almost once, and it took people believing in me, and specifically a sheriff from Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County, back in the day, that saved my life. And I want to save these kids' lives. I want to get them the opportunities we didn't have, that some of us luckily did, but the majority of us did not have. And I want to know that, at the end of the day, I want you to know at the end of the day, you can count on us.
right.
We lead culture. We curate culture. We move the needle from fashion to music to lifestyle to spirits to you name it. We are the creme de la creme now, and you have my support. And I want to be there with that change. And I've transitioned many out of the streets because I understand it. Just like you growing up in a single parent home, we're the two ends of the spectrum. You had work ethic instilled, and your mom, you took another route. I had work ethic instilled, but I took my work ethic somewhere else. But the point is that single Black mothers in Atlanta should not be fearful for their young Black children or young brown children. They should know that there's a way. There are people that care about them in their communities, that want to see them make it, right? I don't. Do you know what it is to take someone's whole confidence away from? We already know how shallow confidence is as a child, not knowing nothing. So imagine when you got a police test. You saw them little babies get handcuffed in that parking lot with a mistaken identity. Yep. The fuck is going on? And then you trying to console the kid, sit up. It's like, no, whatever police officer wasn't with that shit, turn up on that motherfucker. The baby, they had the only one that wasn't handcuffed was the baby on the end.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you think what does that do to a child's psyche? So my point to you is, I get the rambling, Pat, but I want to feel safe in my community. I want my people to feel safe in their community. I don't want it to be a heart fluttering thing, to be nervous or to I don't know. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. But our goal now, not just holistically, I want people to feel safe where they work, live, and play. I want them to feel that they can count on us to come do the right thing. The interesting piece, and this is just in Atlanta alone, 911 gets called over 1 million times a year.
Wow,
that's a lot of calls. Right?
Wow.
We have to figure out again how to unpack for our officers, but at the same time, where there are other opportunities for, be it mental health specialist or someone to show up, we want to make that happen as well. So you cannot not call, right? We tell people all the time, see something, say something, call 911, but we're not calling 911 because they're singing too loud in the choir, right? We're calling because someone feels they need some kind of intervention. And if it's 911, it's most of the time it's some kind of lawful intervention. What we have to figure out, though, is how to create an environment where everyone goes home safe at the end of the night. You heard me say earlier, we can't arrest our way out of this problem. We won't, right? But we also have an obligation to begin to interrupt the school to prison pipeline. And so when we do that, right? And again, I'm going to always be transparent.
We need to dismantle that pipeline. We need to destroy that motherfucker. We need to burn it.
I agree, but I'm going to always be transparent with you. So I'm dyslexic, right? So growing up, reading was the hardest thing in the world for me. So that's why we sent officers every Thursday over to Bethune Elementary while they were open to help these young kids in the third grade learn how to read, but their first interaction with law enforcement was not a negative one. So we have to be very concerned that we have to interrupt that pipeline, really choke it off.
Right.
Won't happen overnight, all right? But we have to make sure that we become a part of our community in every aspect. And that's why I'm a big proponent of our officers living in those very communities.
Yeah.
So they can go to the community meetings, so that they have a voice in those communities.
Yeah.
So time to serve and protect in those communities, they can do just that with a different mindset going to these things. So
I'm gonna send you some whiskey because we're gonna celebrate when you win this Fulton County Sheriff's election. One thing you said, though, and I just want to leave with this: please, man, once you get in there and you win, because we know this power that sheriffs have over the police. You know, let's start putting these people in the neighborhoods where they're from, man. Let's put these young cats, you know, in the areas where they're from. Much like your experience when you first went to the jails, you knew a lot of people, and you know, that would help the dynamic tremendously, in my opinion, as a starter. But I appreciate your energy and honesty, man. You know, I played "Fuck the Police" by NWA. If you're just joining at the beginning of the show, and this man didn't bat an eye. He was in there like, well, yeah, coming straight from the underground. A young brother got it bad because of Brown. But you, my friend, have a bright light, man, and I pray for you that you get what you came for, man, and more importantly, help the city of Atlanta the best way you see fit.
thank you, brother, and thank you for allowing me to be here. And my commitment to you and our community as a whole, I need you to hold me accountable. Just, you know, when you create accountability partners, right, I want to come back on when I'm the sheriff, and we can have these tough conversations. And so thank you again. It is absolutely wonderful and an honor to be here. Remind everybody to vote. We got a couple more days of early voting. And certainly August 11th, we can create a generational change when it comes to law enforcement. And so I tell everybody, don't go with what you had, right? You'll continue to get what you got. The only person that can be wrong in a 12-year period and still keep their job is the weatherman. So it's time for change.
You better go ahead with them quotables, boy. You out here in these streets. You're necessary, Pat. So please, brother, don't stop. Keep going. Mash on the gas.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'll get you. Tell your people to get with me so I can get that Uncle Nearest over to you.
Amen. Let's do it. Appreciate it.
All right, love.
Thank you.
Yeah, one time for Pat Labat, y'all. Like, we going to bat for Pat Labat, ATL. If you are in Fulton County, there's an election next week. You need to get your face into place and get active. Where is Van Lathan at? Where's Van? I gotta have Van on his own show. But is Van still here? Because I know Van is over there on his neck right now. Yeah, man, I just, you know, we can't act like we don't need police, y'all. We got to fix the system is what we got to do. And we have to put people in office. That is also in the local, state, and federal government that will work for us. You see, I don't bite my tongue because I know that people want the truth. Even the people we talking to, they want the truth. Don't get it twisted like they don't. And I'm not talking about they. You know who they is. I'm not talking about they. The people want the truth. Real individuals that want to make real change, that have real opinions, that don't, you know what I'm saying, second guess their own purpose for sake of gain or putting something else in the mix that might tell. They want the truth. You want the truth, right? That's why you come to the Kenny Burns show. Right? I'm hyped. That I had to say all that today. It was so cleansing for me. Y'all make sure Fulton County, if you're in Atlanta, I think 10% of my following is Atlanta, which is the most. Y'all better, if you're in Fulton County, you better go vote. Trust me. The sheriffs have power over the police. If you look at it in the system of sheriffs being on top of the police being contracted, sheriff can move the needle. All right? It's always good to have a good sheriff in your back pocket or in your pocket or on your side. I wish y'all the best this evening. Go out there, be great. Get what you came for, but come back tomorrow because I have another interesting show. It's your lifestyle specialist, Kenny Burns. I love y'all. Peace.